Hello everybody and welcome back to your possibly quite unexpected April Fool's video from me. I mean, I only know of the occasion because of SpongeBob, but that doesn't really matter. Because as you might not know, when I'm not researching game peripherals, music videos, or generally 2000s culture, there is something else I like to indulge in. And that's stupid shit posted on the internet. Like, where does it come from? Why does it exist? Or the question I'll be asking myself today: is the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion woke? I mean, if you've played it, you should know the answer to that already. Of course it is. Now, for those not in the know, this whole question comes from a Steam group reviewing games and determining whether they're woke or not. It's not a topic I'm super well versed in. Like I said, I liked the 2000s.
It was a simpler time, with simpler pleasures.
And besides, it's definitely more of an American topic. Not like it doesn't affect me, of course. I mean, when local politicians start writing books on the topic, you know it's bad. But still, I feel like we Europeans should leave that whole matter to the Americans, as it's more so tied to their cultural values, but that's getting way too deep into that topic for this video. So where were we? Oh yeah, I specifically chose Oblivion for two reasons. One, the game has some weird details in its review, and if you're ever bored you should really give these a read, they're all pretty golden. But reason two is the fact that it's Oblivion. Arguably the installment with the most juvenile writing in it. And that's the one you want to put through the ringer for gender implications? Oh boy. If we look at the game's review, or more like a summary, we can see that it says contains subtly pro-LGBTQ plus messaging. I don't really know what that explicitly refers to, but maybe we'll find out along the way. It also says multiple minor LGBTQ plus NPCs. Well, I suppose so, yes. There are multiple, as in more than one. The base game of Oblivion hints at one homosexual relation between Fighters Guild members Vernus Daunton and Edward Hodge. You never meet the latter, only coming across his corpse during a mission. Kinda like Bill and Frank from The Last of Us. The game, not the show. Unlike them though, there's never even any mention made of Vernus' sexuality or relationship at any point during gameplay. The only time it's ever brought up is in this exposition dumping journal you can find on his body after he succumbs to the troll attack. And even then it's pretty subdued until the last couple of mentions. So yes, let's say they're actually lovers. Is that all? Well, yes. There are no other characters you can meet in the base game that have homosexual relationships, only heterosexual ones. There are plenty of mixed race couples, which is also an interesting topic that's sometimes addressed in game, but the review doesn't make any mention of that, so let's look at the next point. Some Argonians use conflicting pronouns. Alright, once again pretty vague. Is this true? Well, yes, but the way it's said here is pretty weird. For example, the female city swimmer refers to herself with male pronouns in one greeting, but is referred to as female everywhere else. Magna, the bookseller from Cheydinhal, gets described as a grouchy old man, but is in fact a woman, and not grouchy. Meanwhile, Deetsan in Cheydinhal's Mages Guild has the townsfolk referring to her as male, and also getting the magic school she trains wrong. But now let me ask you this. Why do you honestly think this is the case? Is this all some hidden agenda? Do these characters have deeper unexplored facets lying beneath their surface? No, of course not. This is Oblivion, for crying out loud. All these instances are just a result of less than perfect checking on the developer's part. You're probably familiar with the insane amount of outtakes this game's dialogue still has in it, right? That's probably a result of the fact that all dialogue was recorded alphabetically for some reason. And combine that with the fact that rumor dialogue all looks like this, copied for every race/voice type combination. That just means that if you say change a character's gender mid-development, but don't alter their rumors accordingly, then there's a very slim chance someone's actually gonna notice that fuck up until it's too late. And we know this to be the case, as for example there's the female wood elf Tamriel. Her caretaker Elregale refers to her with male pronouns, and in the construction set we can literally find the developers acknowledging that Tamriel was originally a male, and that they had to fix Elregale's dialogue because of this. And I just love the fact that even despite them literally stating that they need to do this in order to fix it in this note, they never did. And the mistake ended up in the final game. But still, why are the Argonians getting singled out for this? You could give an example for almost every race in game, especially concerning NPCs with rumors about them. Vigdis the North gets referred to as male, same with Agni the Pickled. Salmo has this for the High Elves, Estelle Renoir for Bretons, Rosan for Redguards, Nasi for Khajiit, Jantus Brolos for Imperials, Mandel for Bosmer, Flanu Lalu for Dunmer. See? That's an example for every race, except orcs. There is none for them, right? Well, think again, fool, this is Oblivion. The already mysteriously sex-swapped Magubgro Orum also misgenders Borbagra Ushgas in a greeting. Ha! There you have it. I'll be honest though, even I didn't think I could so easily list examples for every race in game, but here we are. That's really something. But then again, there is so much more wrong with this game's dialogue than just the pronouns. I mean, besides the aforementioned problems, people might get referred to under completely different names, shit, people might even mispronounce their own name. So are you really gonna be all that super critical about Oblivion's dialogue of all games? Well, someone on the UESP sure was. Sorry for the sidetrack, but I really wanted to show this example here because it inspired me to make this video in the first place. This is just reading way too much into things. A City Swimmer specifically has had her page reworked because of this multiple times, whether by people thinking they're clearly trans, which she's not, or doubtful people as seen above. Her talk page actually has a really nice breakdown of this all, which I wish I would have just copied into the script like some YouTubers do, but I discovered that a bit too late. Though I wonder if people interpret this mistake as her being unsure of her own gender. What will happen if I show those people the girl in Skyrim that refers to herself as if she's a different person? Ooh, the mental illness theories are just waiting to be written. And that's something I love to hate about the Elder Scrolls, and I suppose now modern Fallout titles as well. People can see some randomly generated item in someone's inventory and go, "Ooh, this piece of flesh clearly and definitively proves this random stranger took like the fucking bite of 87. Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, take this for example. This random NPC, Mornsu Omelor in Morrowind, has 12 bows in their inventory and a single arrow. Clearly they're hoarding bows of fallen comrades to trade them with nefarious agents of the Kamona Tongue, right? Like there's nothing else that could be, right? I mean, you're in all likelihood familiar with at least one of these far-fetched stories. Maybe you're familiar with this Oxhorn clip where he starts fantasizing about the lore implications of this folder, which just looks that way because of his texture mod. Or garbage like this Nazim video, which I had to check if it also wasn't an April Fool's prank from last year. I mean, sure, you can basically do a deep dive on every single character in Skyrim, at least I can, or well, on most characters, not all of them were made for that, but still. But believe me when I tell you that you can't just talk actual facts about Nazim for an hour. That's just that stupid Whiterunner mindset. He's just not that deep, you know? And to resume, here is one of my favorite parts of the review. The Azir Trazijajeri encourages LGBTQ+ relationships. Now, this is more on my level. Someone actually sat down and read the lore books in order to determine wokeness? Alright, let's see what we got. While not stated, I have to assume that the review refers to this part here. It reads as follows. Life is short. If you have not made love recently, please put down the book and take care of that with all haste. Find a wanton lass or a frisky lad, or several, in whatever combination your wise loins direct. And do not under any circumstances play hard to get. Honestly, even after reading it several times, I still feel like the text encourages polygamy more so than homosexuality. Like, if you're male, take multiple women. If you're female, take multiple men. I know the text uses the word combination, but still it's quite vague. Yeah, I really like taking risks, what else is new? But combine that with the apparently behind the scenes established concept of Khajiit harems and Oblivion's general writing, and yeah, I believe I should be skeptical here. The next claim though is just fucking funny. After all the nondescript stuff and vague terminology, we just get Duma Grobonk flirts with males. Like boom, there you have it. No holds barred. I mean, yes, the male orc Duma Grobonk does kinda flirt with male characters. But there are two things we're overlooking. One, Dumag is a Shivering Isles character. You know, the DLC that's written so lol xd random that basically every single NPC's wakiness is turned up to 11. They are deliberately made to be weird, yet some don't come close to the weirdness some base game NPCs gave off. and there they're supposedly normal. But second and most importantly, once again the developers themselves confirm in leftover notes in the files that this character was originally female. His dialogue was written with a female in mind, and it was just never changed. Either due to the fact that the original actress, Linda Carter, decided that she wouldn't reprise her role at the last minute, due to general laziness, or due to the fact that someone thought having the male orc voice record those lines would be hilarious. Maybe a combination of all three, who knows. Still, now you can never unsee the fact that the Shivering Isles just has no female orcs or Nords in it. And now, despite this list's whole purpose, there are no mention of Oblivion's themes of race conflict here. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't go out my way to mention this, but it is mentioned in Skyrim's review. At least I think so. Under this part, contains subtly pro-DEI messaging. So, after looking up the acronym, it apparently stands for Diversity, Equity and Inclusion. Even its Wikipedia page spells out that it's a US thing, so make of that what you wish. But how is this all connected? Like, what does this even mean? Subtly pro-DEI messaging? Do I need to interpret that as someone with the mindset of Stormcloak's bad, Empire good? I mean, I've stated before that I would have loved to see Skyrim actually be racist and use race as an actual theming, but it ultimately really doesn't. It kinda all boils down to a tragedy has hit Morrowind, its refugees went to Skyrim to rebuild, most Nords dislike them due to them having to support the Empire for a long time. And that's also the biggest problem. Like, Skyrim always intertwines its race policies with its Civil War storyline. Problem with that being that the Civil War gets way more screen time and lore around it. It feels like the developers wanted to write an interesting political story, and then later on decided that they also wanted to work in racial struggles into that whole bit, but it never really works out. Take Falkreath for example. You have one NPC that's openly racist to all non-Nords. But why? I mean, his brother states that he's young and gets riled easily, but what does that mean? Something needs to have enabled him, right? He's never even shown to be like racist towards the other people living in town, only towards a player character. In Windhelm, you'll often hear people speak of the struggles the Dunmer and Argonians face, but it never really amounts to much. You have one scene, Rolf being a racist all night, and then Thornbjorn not wanting to pay his Argonian workers a fair wage. Like, okay, but we're talking about a community apparently so ostracized that they have their own slum. And that's all you have to show for it? Niranye, a high elf, was apparently treated the same way at first, but the people grew to trust her, and now treat her more fairly. Okay, so does race not matter in the end? Or wait, some people are still suspicious of her, and she actually is a criminal? Okay, so what does that imply, Bethesda? You might be familiar with this meme about the Khajiit in Skyrim, but like, it's true. With the exception of Mazaka, who's just Mazaka. I swear, some portions have a lot of thought put into them, but all this race stuff? No, not really. The most interesting conflict, that between the Argonians and the Dark Elves in Windhelm, is never even brought up, except for a single line in a logbook. And then there's also Riften, which has a high population of both Dunmer and Bosmer, and no one seems to give a shit there. Except for poor Talenjay. He randomly gets shit on a couple of times by Nords. I can give examples of people being racist towards orcs, but those are few and far between, even less for Redguards. High elves, especially those in the Talmor, all seem to have racism built into their character. I'll just go out and say it. The most interesting and well fleshed out racial conflict is between the natives of the Reach and the people coming there later. They even have tensions between Reachmen and Bretons from High Rock, despite them being considered the same race in game. So yeah, I'm sorry, but docking points from Skyrim based on its DEI is very strange, especially seeing as Oblivion exists, and it is depicted as this whole cosmopolitan paradise, but then does something I hate and just fills settlements with all kinds of random NPCs without any rhyme or reason. Huh, maybe I am racist. Or I just dislike bad or non-existent character writing. I am also once again left to wonder about Skyrim's subtly pro-LGBTQ messaging. I'm familiar with about like 86% of this game's dialogue, but none of it instinctively triggers this response in my mind. I mean, Alva flirts with Jonna, But that's more so because she's a vampire trying to enthrall the whole town rather than her sexuality. I mean, that's how I interpret it at least. I might be wrong, of course. Susanna the Fair also acts flirty with female characters, but that's even addressed in-game as just a reason to get tips. Also, keep in mind that both of these women coincidentally have a voice type specifically to sound sultry. And besides those two examples, I'm really having a hard time here. I don't recall any male-on-male flirting, and there are no homosexual couples to be found in the base game Skyrim or the Dawnguard expansion. Heartfire would add the first canon lesbian with Sonir, that's a joke, and then Dragonborn would finally introduce yet another homosexual couple into the mix. But both parties are already dead by the time you meet them, so there's even less personal connection than in Oblivion, as basically all the character work for both Rodolph and Bjornolfr gets done in the form of notes. What I do like though is that we come across a couple of Reavers reading one of these notes and they're laughing at it, so either they think it's way too sappy or they're homophobic. That's interesting. But what I find even more remarkable is that the developers also go out of their way in this dialogue to actually confirm that they are racist. So yeah, they're definitely the bad guys. Very deep writing indeed. Okay, so the first 2 points are bogus. What's the third? Homosexual marriage options. Oh, okay. Well, this is a topic I'm most certainly familiar with. Best way to summarize it? Everything in Skyrim is radiant, even marriage dialogue. Not a single person will act in a unique way towards you, because that was their design philosophy with the game. Pete Hines also literally stated that they didn't care either way. And so you just have openly homosexual relationships without any repercussions whatsoever. Though I suppose that would be very nice if someone couldn't have that in real life, so I can't fault them too much for that, I suppose. But the last point is once again right up my alley. You quote any dialogue to me, even half quoted like this, and I'll find it. Of course, this is just a quote from another Whiterun NPC, because why go out of your way to know anyone else from the other towns, right? Fuck Whiterunners. So this line right here refers to this line from Olfina Greymane, which is kind of funny, as she has a whole lot more lines like this, but you would only hear these lines if you're playing as a female character, which the reviewer in all likelihood didn't do. Or there's also another one for when she's working, which I guess they also didn't encounter. But I mean, Olfina isn't even the only NPC with dialogue like this in Whiterun. Ysolda, for example, has this line, and Alam, Nazim's wife, has all of these. Mikael is depicted as pretty piggish, but then again, basically everything involving that story thread is written worse than my script drafts. And then you have all the dialogue from Carlotta. Yeah, you've got this line from Weary, this line from the removed NPC Liesel, all of the dialogue from Grosta basically. My point being, you have a lot more examples of strong woman-esque dialogue in Skyrim than just Olfina's singular line. And in some cases, it's even written quite well. I suppose you can count this dialogue from Gorza as well, but hold up a second. If you go and look at this dialogue and just conclude, oh, it's all empowering to women, that's bad, that's just really stupid. Comparing the orc mentality with the Nord mentality like that? Again, just stupid, no nuance. I don't need to say that in this game focusing on the Nord, there are many more lines of strong man dialogue. But this is all to say that, like fucking hell, why do you react to a random line of dialogue like that? If you're gonna look for some messaging, of course you're gonna find it. Like take this excerpt from Morrowind's review. Optional homoeroticism. Crassios Curio speaks in a sexually suggestive way and has the player engage in homoerotic behavior to progress the story. Pro or anti is unclear. Yeah, I mean, Crassius Curio is a weird dude, but he acts weird towards you whether you're male or female. That's the whole thing. When writing him, they didn't care about your gender, they just wanted Crassius to appear weird. The ending statement, pro or anti is unclear, is just a cherry on top, indicating that the author has no clue what the fuck they were even writing. I won't have them disrespect Uncle Crassius like that. And here's another thing. This is the lore page about sex on the UESP. Some time ago, I also saw a really weird edit here. It adds the following. In the real world, a rape kit is used by or for rape victims rather than rape perpetrators to gather from the former evidence that identifies the latter. However, in the book Withershins, written by Ted Peterson, the context of a rape kit is used by an imagined rapist. This suggests that in Tamriel, a rape kit is instead a standard set of tools or implements used in raping by a rapist. The reference was later removed in Oblivion, but this was probably because of the overt reference to rape rather than because of the implication of the meaning of the term. And then it adds in parentheses, all of Bethesda's employees are white men. Okay. All of the other more wiki relevant stuff aside, why would you add that last part? Thinking of it like a wiki editor, what does this add? Is this something you yourself believe explains the aforementioned oddity? I mean, based on this person's edit summary? I'd suppose so. But you need to keep in mind that all of these user summaries are very wordy like this. So maybe it's not that relevant? Maybe this person just dislikes white men? I mean, I don't like to conclude it based on almost no evidence. But is this a case of like self-hatred slipping into their work? And maybe this is just because I'm an autistic dickhead, but I just hate inserting subjective things into wikis. When I'm stating information, my opinion is worthless. I hate it even more when you say stuff like this, which is just objectively wrong. I mean, here is a picture of the developers from Morrowind. Tell me, does that look like they're all white men? Here's the Oblivion team. Are they all white men? Yes, we're arguing semantics here, but still, stating all of Bethesda's employees are white men is not only ignorant, it's also just wrong. And I just don't get all this stuff. Did I dislike The Last of Us because of a gay character in it? No, I disliked The Last of Us because its opening emotional beat felt very forced, and the whole dynamic between Ellie and Joel was done way better a year before in Telltale's The Walking Dead. But even then I mostly disliked it because I thought its controls weren't intuitive, especially since it came out the same year as GTA 5, which I felt mastered the third-person shooter controls. Also, I don't really recall the main game all that much, but Ellie wasn't really portrayed as a lesbian until the following DLC. Even this list notes that. Do people dislike Life is Strange because it portrays teens with various sexual orientations? Or do people dislike it because every teen in the game felt like they were written by a French guy in their 40s? I was young once, but I never outright disliked something because it had a character with a particular orientation in it. Is a game like South Park the fucking fractured butthole bad because you can talk about gender with your school counselor? Lists like these miss all the nuance of their games. There is a difference between having games talk about gender and race, actually trying to push a strange message on you, or just being badly written. So unless you know these games inside and out, I don't advise writing stupid reviews like this. But in short, is Oblivion woke? I don't know. And I don't care. I feel like I don't even know what the word means anymore. I hope you don't die as a result of a stupid April Fool's prank, and please don't go posting any stupid shit on wikis that everyone can just correct. But hey, if you don't want to listen to me, you don't need to. I'm just a random guy online that fucking hates Cash the Clean's outfit with a burning passion. So do whatever you wish. Have a good day.